and welcome to the Oddity Archive. This show that knows a good gimmick when it sees one. Or so it tells itself. In the third person. Well, probably much to my detriment, I'm gonna try and bring back what was intended to be a recurring bit on this show. And I gave up on it after only 2 installments because the second one just tanked. And I felt like I put a lot of time and effort into that one just to watch it sink into the sunset. But, yeah, perhaps against my better judgment, I'm thinking that was a little over 3 years ago, the last time I did this. Maybe I'm in a good spot for a fresh start here. So I'm going to try, at least for a test here, to bring back the vinyl potpourri concept. Records that I think are good, that I would like to cover, but I know that the odds of me ever finding an episode's worth of like subject matter on it will probably just never happen. So it's my little way of still being able to give you some of these little gems. Now, I'm going to contradict myself slightly here in that this isn't totally random. There is a very, very loose concept to this episode. And for one, it goes down a bit of a logic rabbit hole. But first and foremost, these are all gimmick LPs that we're going to look at today. So they have some sort of gimmick going for them either on a technical level or something in the content itself. So let's get down to business here. Now, if you saw the most recent Christmas special, I did a segment on the Care Bears Christmas album from 1983. Now, that thing was written and performed by Mark Volman and Howard Kalin, also known as Flo and Eddie, who were the co-frontmen of the 60s pop group The Turtles, and then they were in the Mothers of Invention of Frank Zappa and the Mothers for a couple years. And then in the mid-'80s, like I mentioned with the Care Bears, they had a kind of an ironic comeback with music for cutesy little kiddie shows like Care Bears and Strawberry Shortcake. But just like 5 minutes before that happened, they had recently inked a deal with the then nascent Rhino Records, and the main purpose of it was to reissue the Turtles back catalog, which Flo and Eddie had bought back the rights to in the mid-'70s. Now, part of this deal was to allow the two of them to indulge in whatever weird little side projects they felt like. So one of those projects was a parody of the group Kraftwerk, or a Kraftwerk if you're German and or pretentious. So anyway, this parody was released under the alias Checkpoint Charlie. So hopefully you get that little Cold War reference there. But the parody is only successful insofar as you being familiar with Kraftwerk, especially their, call it 1974 to 80 material. So by the time this came out, 1982, Kraftwerk had become pretty well known for their very neat and very precise and very technically sophisticated records, but at the same time, musically very minimalist. So what Mark and Howie did was they held on to the whole minimalism part, but they turned everything else completely inside out. So whereas Kraftwerk had really expensive high-end synthesizers and custom-made gear, Flo and Eddie, well, the most sophisticated thing on the record is one of those little early drum machine kind of beatbox sort of deals that people would plug into their organs at home, back when that was still kind of a piece of furniture for a lot of folks. But otherwise, all the instruments consist of toy keyboards and things like the Mattel handheld electronic football game and toy zapper guns and that sort of stuff. Now, the parody is not the gimmick for this record. So, I don't know if you caught it on the cover, but this sucker plays from the inside out. Now, there are legitimate reasons to have a record play from the inside out. There aren't very many of them in existence, but mostly it's so you can start with something quiet and end loud, because you kind of have to roll off the volume towards the end of a side. But in this case, there really was no reason to do anything like that. They just did it to be different. Our next two albums were part of the same viewer donation, and they're both gimmicky, and they're also thematically linked. So we're going to at least sort of touch on both of them. This first one I'm going to talk about more than anything else. But anyway, way back when, on a now distant Valentine's Day special, I covered a VHS tape that could allegedly hypnotize you into finding your soulmate. Drawing your soulmate into your life. Just don't let it hit you in the face.
The tape you are about to watch is extremely powerful, incorporating visual and verbal hypnosis.
So with hypnotism in mind, let's talk about this first record. I'll play just a touch of it, but there's really not much to play here, so yeah, it's going to mostly be discussion for this. So anyway, here's the record, and it's just a plain black sleeve, and no, it's not a Spinal Tap record. But this and the next one are both very much of the whole new age medicine sort of trip. And if you look at the sticker down at the bottom corner there, this record, I guess, is supposed to make you better at, hopefully romantically, seducing others. Now, this is going to sound like one of my little jokes, but I am dead serious here. The content of this record consists of an old recording of Maurice Ravel's Bolero, playing in a loop. It works out to twice per side. And so there's a good joke in there right in and of itself. You know, that tune is allegedly an aphrodisiac. I've never noticed it myself, but hey. But to make it even funnier, the rendition that they found, this record is from 1981, but the rendition of Bolero, I would guess, is from no later than about 1961. And not only that, but they found a very dull, very flat, and very rushed rendition, and just all around kind of ramshackle. And to put this in even more perspective, Bolero usually takes somewhere in the 15 to 18 minute range to play. They bash that sucker out in 12 minutes flat. So there is, as far as the hypnosis part of this goes, there is a vocal hidden way deep down in the mix. So deep that it's 99% unintelligible. But just from listening to the record, I noticed some speech patterns, and I feel confident in saying that it's just a loop of a message, and it's probably only about a 30-second message. And I was only able to make out one word a few times, and that was sensuality. And that's about it. Now, before you ask, yes, I did run this thing through one of those algorithmic vocal isolator deals, but it got me nowhere. So if there ever was any kind of literature behind this thing, it's long gone. The cynic in me says there never was. But anyway, before we start here, one last little point of business. The company that put this together, a company based out of somebody's house, still exists. Granted, this is long gone from the catalog, but if their current catalog is anything to go by, those look about as useful as this sucker. Our other Hypnosis record is the straightforward one. This one is just a good old spoken word effort. So this one is from 1982, and it's called New Dimensions 2, Figure Enhancement System. Now, the viewer that sent me this record, I'm pretty sure had described it to me before sending it in, but by the time I received it, I'd forgotten about it. So I took one look at this title and I thought it's one of those how to run your business more efficiently sort of records. I guess in a metaphorical way you could say that was true. So anyway, as it turns out, figure enhancement is quite literal, as in bodily figure. So this record was geared towards, shall we say, physically underdeveloped teenage girls, and that listening to this record repeatedly would somehow make her blossom, so to speak. Now, rather perversely, it is the same program on both sides of the record, but on the A side, it's a guy handling the narration, which I find kind of off-putting for something like this. And then the flip side has a woman handling the narration. So, as such, really just more for a lark than anything else, I've intercut the male and female narration. And I've also kept this one strictly chronological. Having said that, the woman blazes through the script about a minute and a half quicker than the guy does. So as you're watching this, if you notice the needle on the record jump back periodically, I'm not dinking around with the order of things, it's just the speed that they were reading at. So otherwise, I think I've made my feelings pretty clear on this sort of thing. I consider this just to be pure snake oil. And it irritates me because for something like this, for the young ladies that listened to this record, and I know at least one did, this thing is pretty worn out and it's got some good nicks and scratches on it. I would say the odds are extremely good that she would have developed to some degree with or without the damn record. And of course, what would the purveyor of such crap say? Well, you can't prove that the record didn't help.
This program, to assist you in developing yourself, is a simple and effective method. You'll find it easy and enjoyable. Just let yourself relax and follow the simple procedures. First, make yourself as comfortable as you can by sitting back in a soft, easy chair or by lying comfortably on your back in your bed or on a couch. Take a moment to loosen any tight clothing. Take off your shoes so that you'll be totally comfortable.
You have already learned the first lesson without effort as you learn to relax. In time, you will learn to relax quickly and effectively, with or without the script. Now, as you lie or sit comfortably, you are beginning to learn to relax quickly, easily, and effectively. You will begin to find that you breathe more easily and effortlessly.
You can learn to relax easily as you say to yourself the words, "I can relax now and breathe comfortably. This is my time to relax." Just thinking these words helps you to relax. You are learning to use these words as your own personal program. You can even reduce these words to simply relax now.
Now, tighten up all the muscles of your leg again and hold them tight for a while. Then, let them relax, as before, starting with your toes and going up until your leg is quite relaxed. Okay, that's fine.
Now tighten up your whole face. Hold your face that way for a moment. Tighter. Now relax all the muscles of your face and feel the comfort in your face. Now you can feel even more relaxed all over.
It's so easy. Just imagine that you are standing at the top of a very pleasant stairway with nice colors and soft carpeting. This will become your 10-step stairway to even more comfort and relaxation. Now, in your imagination, see yourself walking down this stairway, slowly, step by step.
Now, we will begin to use mental pictures to help your body become more sensitive and responsive. These pictures will teach your body how to function more effectively. See your breasts getting larger and firmer. Imagine it happening. Feel the blood coursing into your breasts as they begin to grow and develop. Now, you can feel your breasts pushing outward. As you see your breasts growing larger and firmer, you feel a pleasant tightness of the skin over the breasts. They are growing. Just imagine now that a warm, moist, comfortable towel is being placed on your breasts. Feel the warmth penetrating into your skin and into your breasts. Feel how comfortable and how relaxing the warmth is. As you feel the warmth in your breasts, you can begin to feel more blood flowing into your breasts, stimulating their growth and vibrancy.
Your breasts are beginning to grow from the inside, to feel fuller, firmer, more attractive. See how comfortable your breasts feel and how good you feel about your body development and how much more comfortable it makes you feel. People will admire your figure, the figure of a proud and confident woman. There is no guilt connected with a beautiful figure, only confidence and mature pride. A lovely woman is a proud woman. A woman with lovely breasts is a confident woman. You will like yourself, even admire yourself, more and more as you see your breasts developing and as people respond to your beautiful figure. Your breasts will grow larger, firmer, fuller, more attractive, and your waistline will become slimmer.
Twice daily, you will enjoy relaxing for a short period of time and vividly picture the 3 bioimages. This script and the 3 bioimages used consistently will help assure you of achieving your figure goals.
And now, on a count of 5, this script will conclude and you will feel wide awake, happy, and refreshed. 1. Feeling good, feeling pleasant, getting up. 2. More alert, refreshed, enthusiastic. 3. Stretching your arms and legs and body, feeling good, refreshed. 4. Eyes wide open, feeling wonderful. 5. More alert, feeling good, feeling refreshed, feeling vigorous.
Great. And of course, it would be just after the last of the Rejuvenate scars finally wore off. Today's final album is another one that kinda managed to fool me at first. So I found this one at one of the more hipstery record stores downtown 2 or 3 years ago now. And at the time, I just assumed it was religious. Between the title and the kind of vague liner notes, it made sense. But I think you know where I'm going with this one. Today's final album is what's on the box today. The 600-Second Miracle, from about 1962, and it has since slid into the public domain. The copyright was never renewed. But this is, as it turns out, not religious, at least not in any sort of recognized way. But I'm not going to go any deeper into the content here. I'll let you figure out the miracle for yourself, and yeah, it is monumentally lame. But anyway, I suppose I should try and fill you in here. So this was part of a series of usually one-sided LPs, and incidentally, this is a one-sided LP, that were the brainchild of one Bert Tenzer, and he actually became kind of a cult film director years later. But at the time, Tenzer was one of the many, many guys on Madison Avenue in New York City playing the advertising game, and he apparently had his own little firm, and he definitely had his own style of advertising. And one that I'm not too surprised never caught on. I have a feeling it probably pissed off more people than it enticed. So anyway, Tenzer himself wrote and narrated this thing, and his voice really isn't right for it. It's one of those things where you need kind of the voice of God, and he doesn't quite have it. But at the same time, you kind of have to admire it. He's clearly trying to just make do with whatever he can get his hands on. And with regards to the other voices on here, the really egregious one is what's obviously a middle-aged woman who's barely trying to act, and she's supposed to be playing a 10-ish-year-old girl. So anyway, even though this isn't religious, I feel like I should bring it into the fold here just a little. Now, I don't consider myself really deeply religious, but I do believe miracles occur. As far as this record goes, I've had to severely drop my standard for what qualifies as a miracle.
Time is moving forward. Before this record ends, 600 seconds will have passed, and the miracle will have occurred. You are here in 5000 BC, observing the beginnings of music. Now let's turn time forward. We are back in modern-day civilization, and music is still with man. It is 1955, and a meeting is being held that will introduce possibly the most important development in music since the time man originated his first rhythmic sounds.
What would you say if I told you that with this new Magnus electric chord organ standing here, I can change the music habits of America? That I can bring millions the experience, the thrill of not just listening to music, but of actually playing it. Gentlemen, with this new development, any man, woman, or child will be able to play music in 10 minutes on the grandest of all instruments, the organ.
"375 seconds have now passed. Only 225 remain before the miracle occurs. It's Saturday afternoon and this store seems very busy. But listen. Must be coming from over there in that corner.
Little girl, you're the youngest. Let's start with you. Did you ever play an organ like this before?
No.
Would you like to?
Yes, I think so.
All right, let's start. 13, and so on. That's it. Now just continue playing on like that. Don't you recognize that song?
Let's see. Oh, I know, of course. Well, that's My Country 'Tis of Thee. We sing it in school all the time.
Wonderful. How about you, sir?
Well, okay, I guess you got me a little curious. But I'll tell you right now, I'm no Toscanini. I never played an instrument or read a note in my life, and I'm not about to take lessons at this stage of my life.
All right, let's try.
Gee, it feels kind of strange. Like I'm listening to my own concert. I'm actually playing Swanee River. I sound like a real musician. I always wondered how it felt to play. It's really quite a thrill. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Listen, the seconds are ticking, and we are moving closer and closer to the 600 mark. That's it. 600 seconds have just passed, and the miracle has occurred. And now, after 600 seconds, the time it took to play this record, this person is playing music on the king of all instruments, the electric organ. For you yourself are as close to this miracle as you are to the Magnus demonstrator who will soon be calling you.
Even though there's no gimmick to this one, to close things out, I've got a bit of an addendum to the Checkpoint Charlie EP that we opened with. So, about a year after the Checkpoint Charlie EP came out, Rhino put out a 3 LP set that was all at once a greatest hits, an anthology, and an audio documentary. And this set was called The History of Flo and Eddie and the Turtles. And this thing has never been reissued, and I don't think it even made it to cassette. And I would say around a third of this remains unique to this little mini box set. But anyway, somewhere towards the end of this mess, you get to hear Mark Vollman doing a rendition, probably live, of the garage rock standard Louie Louie. And no, not the Louie Louie that appears in my opening sequence. But this fades in and out with Show Me the Way to Go Ohm off of the Checkpoint Charlie EP. And it works shockingly well, to the point where I can't help but wonder if Show Me the Way to Go Ohm wasn't a bit of a warped cover of Louie Louie in and of itself. So to close things out here, really just to give myself something to play over the end credits, and since it's not available anywhere else, I don't think it's ever going to get reissued, I'll play you a bit of that little mashup. But otherwise, that is it for today's archive. Me gotta go. Yeah.
I know
And now you can focus all of your attention on your breasts